Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We will start in just a couple of minutes, right on time, so please stand by. Thank you. And it looks like we're here at the top of the hour, so let's get this started. Today's webinar is Go from Legal Tech Buyer to Builder Without Having to Learn to Code. It is sponsored by Abby, and my speakers are today. I am honored to have Will Talbot, who is a Senior Solutions Consultant from Jobs Tech. Will, please say hi to everybody.
Hey, everyone.
And I've also got Bill Galusha, Senior Director, Product Marketing from Abby.
Welcome, everyone. Good to be here.
And thank you. And I'm Mike Simon. Although for the purposes of this one, I've got Will and Bill. I think maybe for this, I should be Phil. How's that sound? It might be appropriate in more ways than one, actually. Who knows? So yes, a couple of key points before we get going. Everyone by now should have received an email from Abby with the instructions to claim their $20 DoorDash credit. If you need to, you can go to DoorDash and create an account at www.doordash.com using the email address you used to register. Matthew, who is our person running this behind the scenes, he'll put in chat the link for DoorDash. I probably should have put that on a QR code as well. But you'll see in the upper right corner, we have a QR code for the email to Matthew Bergens at abby.com. Reach out to him with any questions because you should see $20 subtracted from your DoorDash bill thanks to this. If not, again, just use that QR code or look in the chat and there you will find it. So let's get started. The topics we'll cover today are, we're first going to talk about how it's time to end your buying spree in legal tech. We're then going to introduce you to your new role, citizen developer. Trust me, it's cool. We'll then have Bill talk about how we can revolutionize document processing and automate client-facing processes even. Next, we'll talk about how there's a skill for that within what we're going to show you. You'll see again. And then we'll leave a few minutes at the end for questions. Please be sure to answer your questions within the chat setting. And actually, I'm sorry, it's just below the chat setting. It's that little question mark button at the bottom to go to the questions pane. If you do have any questions, by the way, throughout the webinar, we'll try and see if we can cover them. Again, just enter the questions. We'll see how it works. Now, on to the webinar. If you're like me and you're in legal tech and in the law, because I am both a lawyer and a legal tech consultant, you've probably been buying a lot of software, particularly in the last, 18, 20 months. It's just system piled up after system. It is, Cinnamon Toast Crunch after Go-Gurt piled in there, that looks like. Maybe some cashews too. And in the end, it all starts to add up, at least in terms of expense, but not always in terms of sense. It's time really to think about checking that all out, because when we see here, we find that in the legal tech surveys, of which there seem to be an awful lot of those, that buying buying is the constant theme, whether it's the Altman-Ryle surveys of chief legal officers, of law firms, or from Clock, the chief legal, I always get that messed up, the operations folks. We all talk about how there's constant, massive buying. And Will, do you see that as well with your
Yeah,
clients?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what you probably also see is that constant buying seems to lead to constant disappointment. We see over and over again in these same surveys huge gaps between the spending and the uptake and the results. Again, Will, is this as well? Do you see this?
Yeah, especially in the day and age of subscription software, you no longer pay a one-time fee for Microsoft Word, you pay a subscription for Office 365, and that's true with enterprise software as well. We've gone into places where they've ordered a, six-figure enterprise software package and then let it sit on the shelf, and they're saying, okay, well, now we're ready to implement this, and they're also getting ready to pay that second six-figure bill for the next year of the software. So that's the type of situation you want to avoid. And by having software where you can implement it yourself or, start small and build up from there, really saves you a ton of money.
Yeah, that just doesn't sound like a good thing now. It used to be we firms would pay once and then it would sit on the shelf, but now you get to pay every year. Now that's yeah. We need a way to break through this. And the good news is there is a way now, and we call it the citizen developer, and it's something really cool. It's the fact that we're now at the point, according to Gartner, that the people who use the software, who need the software, can build the software. Which you're probably saying, whoa, wait, I'm not a coder. You don't need to be a coder. In fact, that's the whole idea. You know your own workflows, you know your own processes, and you probably know how you need to make them better, if only because that's weighs on you every day in your job. And in fact, Bill, can you tell us more about the citizen developer and how Abby can help you become that, not just with your processes, but with your documents as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years is kind of shift in the in enterprise software, kind of moving from highly specialized, requiring a lot of domain expertise to moving towards more of a no-code, low-code approach around automation. And one of the key areas, and I would say one of the hottest areas in technology right now, is around document processing. And that's being fueled by all the innovation that's happened over the years around AI technology. And you think of AI, that's a pretty loaded term, and generally it was reserved for the data scientists, the developers. But really what you're seeing in the past few years is this technology emerging around document processing, where, as you call it, and many people refer to it as the citizen developer, which, in layman's terms, that's kind of the non-technical person. I'm not an expert around machine learning and AI and OCR and all the technology that powers document processing. So and this is, I think what is really become obvious is that a lot of the legacy systems that companies use today around document processing have kind of outlived their time. And so you're seeing a shift in buyers looking to kind of replace old systems. The other thing too, and you'll see a little bit about this from the demonstration that we'll show, is it's not just about document processing, but think about, some may be familiar with this, robotic process automation, digital workers, robots doing the work of humans. That technology is very much a low code, no code type of automation tool that can accelerate automation. So you're kind of seeing this whole shift in automation tools that are out there. And what our focus is around document automation. So we're very much complementary to a lot of the automation tools that organizations are using today. So if we can go to the next slide and just kind of, peel back the onion a little bit in terms of this whole concept. So our approach, and what we'll show you today in the demonstration, is really a revolutionary approach to document process automation. And so really when you think of document processing, think about, I have these documents that are coming into my firm and I need to get the data off of these documents. Today, chances are you're doing it all manually. Someone's opening up that PDF and they're manually keying it into some system, some legal software system today. And that's really where Abby's technology plays a role. We essentially automate that. We can take the input coming from different sources and identify the type of the document it is, extract the information. And that's really the intelligence behind our software. And Abby's done this for 20 years, so it's proven technology. Thousands of customers use it today. But really what this new platform does is kind of takes it to the next level or next journey around automation, which is it's built for the non-technical users, today's users. And frankly, I've seen business users using the software to build what we call skills, which is kind of the concept that we've come up with, is creating trained document models that understand your documents and consume them as what we call digital skills within our software. And that plays into kind of what we see is this new digital marketplace. Imagine you have documents, certain legal documents you want to process. You don't start from scratch. You could actually go out and find the skills. And that's what Jobs Tech has done, is built some of these skills that are in our marketplace, as well as other skills that they have available for customers as well. So it's a complete shift in terms of how this technology can be leveraged. And all of it's built around a modern architecture. So depending upon how you want to deploy, it can be deployed into the Abby cloud. So you're not actually having to physically deploy any of the software. So, and that's, if that's the appropriate model, the benefit there is it cuts your costs significantly in terms of maintaining that service. But it also can be deployed on-prem as well too, into a private cloud as well. So if we go to the next slide. And so I talked about this marketplace, and you'll see this in the demonstration, but this is really the shift. It's really what Abby and partners like Jobs Tech are bringing to market, is not just a platform where you can build your own skills that understand your documents, but you can use what's available within the marketplace. So that means you start now, you're immediately processing your documents, which you'll see from the demonstration. You're not developing, there's no coding required to do this. Again, it's point, click, and deploy. And all of this means it accelerates your projects, right? So rather than spending months trying to perfect one process around a few documents, really you're automating processes around many documents over the course of weeks. And then for those who have automation teams who are focused around finding ways to do things better in the organization, this technology really empowers those individuals to kind of accelerate the journey towards automation. You can go to the next slide. So what we'll show you is really right out of the box. We're going to show you how you upload documents. So and how we can identify the type of document it is, and based upon that, apply the appropriate skill that can digitize the text, locate the data in that document, extract the information, structure it, and then finally deliver it into an automation platform. So the beauty of this platform that we call Vantage, or Abby Vantage, is that it can connect into a host of platforms. So if you have a content management system, we can connect in that. RPA, products like UiPath and Blue Prism, which are very popular robotic process automation tools, but probably more specifically, software that is used in legal, like Clio, which is a very popular application. But the beauty of it is this platform is very open. There's out-of-the-box connectors that we have today. And it's very easy for Jobs Tech to work with organizations to connect it into other systems as well. So again, that's really where the value comes. It's not just taking the document, structuring and reading the data and perfecting the data, but how we can integrate it into your systems and your processes as well.
And by the way, that point about Clio is great. They just finished up their big user conference they do every year.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic. And there are thousands of lawyers using it. I've used it, and let me tell you, the number one thing that I would like to have it be better at is I'd like to have to stop typing in things, you know, copying stuff from PDFs in different places. And this is perfect if we can connect to that. That will save everyone so much time. And well, we're lawyers, we're perfectionists. You don't want to get it wrong. You never want to get it wrong. So the key here is that there are skills, and we're gonna just in a moment show you, you know, how you would build one of them, but there are skills already available in this marketplace that Bill mentioned for legal. In fact, we've got a couple of them here that, you know, Bill, you can tell us about.
Yeah, so like the receipt notice, approval notice, a lot of these are, you know, obviously standard government type forms. There's lots of, you know, there's also, we typically refer to as unstructured documents too. So you have documents that can trail behind these documents and provide additional information. But these are a couple of the skills that we've just launched and published in the marketplace that Jobs Tech has built. Will can talk more about the 80+ documents that they've worked with in the past and have implemented at a few other law firms. But again, you imagine having 80 or so document skills defined, ready to go out of the box. I mean, that's called rapid acceleration, and that just means a quicker ROI and time to value. So we're really excited about this marketplace. This is something we launched about 6 months ago.
Yep, we're just getting started here on this, and it is very exciting to see how easy it is to either incorporate a pre-built skill or to build your own skill to say, hey, look, right. I do something every day. It takes me 5 minutes a day, and in an hour or two, I can create something to automate that. And you may say to yourself, well, you know, what's the point of that? But if you start adding up the time, that 5 minutes a day after a month or two, you've spent more than that hour, you know, that you could have just used to eliminate it. And so let's go on to the demo, because this is the part that folks really love. But Will, first tell us a bit about what Jobs Tech is and what you do.
Yeah, so Jobs Technology Solutions, we're a technical consulting firm with expertise in process transformation, data capture, system integration, and workflow solutions. We've had the pleasure of working with some of the largest firms in the nation on their process digitization and automation initiatives. Where we leverage Abby's powerful data capture engine is automatically extracting information from incoming legal notices, and then using that to drive downstream process automation. So that data we pull out is really the logic that drives everything else. In the end, our solutions not only cut operating costs, but we can also decrease our turnaround times, leading to higher client satisfaction. So say for just kind of like scratching the surface, a brief example is, say a notice comes in and your client's trademark registration has been approved, for example. The moment that comes in, it's either scanned in or the email comes in, you can have the system already sending out an email from the attorney notifying the client of that approval. The attorney hasn't had the lift of the thumb, and especially when we're looking at services where we're, you know, charging a fixed fee for it, the less time that attorney has to use, the greater caseload they can carry, and that ends up turning into a higher ROI for you.
Excellent. So we're gonna fire up the demo in just about 2 seconds here. I do first, though, I need to confess something. In addition to the fact my name is not actually Phil. We were going to do this live, or we're going to switch this over to Will's computer, do it live, and we found that there was some lag due to the webinar software that can happen. More importantly, folks, and this is a bit of a thing, I'm going to share something about Will. His wife is just about to, like right now, to go give birth. So we weren't even sure Will was going to be here. He may get called away right in the middle of this, in which case Bill and I will flip a coin to see who takes over. But you know, we'll see what happens here. So Will, let's start that demo.
Yeah, so far so good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look at Vantage. We're going to talk about what skills are, how we put them together for straight through process automation and triggering downstream automation, as well as how we train these skills. So kind of showing you the first process. In this demo, we're going to show intake, classification, and data extraction for legal notices, in particular immigration notices. But you can take this and kind of extrapolate it to any other kind of document. So looking at the Vantage interface, we have a set of skills here. And these are, you can think of them for the IT folks as microservices that can be called for doing a specific task. We have document skills for extracting data from specific document types. And then we also have what are called classification skills, where the raw image comes in and we figure out what document type that is to apply the appropriate document skill. And then we have processes so we can really put everything together for the straight through workflow. So the process design simple screen where we just drag and drop skills from the left and put them in the process. So if our input comes in, so the document comes in, we then have a classification step to tell us which notice type it is. Then we have the extraction skills, so matching that to the classification, extracting the data. And then if needed, there can be a manual review step as well. For the demonstration, we're pushing everything to review. That way we can actually show you the results that we're getting. And then we output that with a connector or an API to another system. So jumping in, we're going to show the end-to-end process first, then we're going to get into showing how they're created. So here we are uploading some documents to a secure FTP. So think of this as a folder that Abby is monitoring. It can also monitor email addresses, other ways of getting documents in here. So we're going to drop them in, and then we're going to wait for them just a few moments for it to process. So in the background, Abby is picking these up. It is then running it through that classification step, saying, okay, what kind of document is this? And then applying the appropriate skill to say, okay, now that I know what document is it, what specific data do I want to extract from that?
Yep. And we have not sped this up. This is this fast. It goes through. Yep. There we go.
Yeah. So now we're going to go over and look at do the manual review. Now for what we've done in production, we have accuracy ratings as high as 99 or even higher than 99%. So that a lot of these can come through. No one actually has to touch it. It can run in the background. That's really nice for the larger firms doing a huge volume. We can see here that it's accurately recognized what type of notice this is, getting the case type, notice type, and then pulling the unique information that we need for downstream processing. You can see here we've gone through these notices. Now we have another type popping up. Oh, and I forgot to mention is we intentionally left out a field here so we can show that it is as simple as clicking on the field in the form itself to get that to populate for us. So when there is some kind of manual review needed, it is a very quick and efficient process. You can push it to a queue so that the same person who's operating your mailroom, they can go through, make sure everything's valid. So if we have an image that goes through that is a muddy image where it's not as clean, it's a bad scan, maybe there's speckling on it, someone can quickly validate that and make sure the correct data is going downstream. So next what we're going to show is that is the software robot that Bill had mentioned. We have ways of doing back integration, but this shows that we can work with any system. And what this robot is going to do, it's going to work really fast, so it's a little hard to keep up with. But it's going to act as a user, automatically logging into the system. It's going to use the data we extracted from those documents to search for the correct case, upload the document image with the case, and also fill in all that data that Mike here hates entering himself. So we're going to watch it go, and it moves really fast. It's basically, it'll wait for things to load. Yeah, and then it's instantaneous from there. So I think the average statistic to use is that these software robots, they can do about 15 minutes of work in 1 minute. So we're seeing it very quickly. It's already gotten to the right case file. It's gone ahead. It's uploaded the document, put in the data, and that's for the first one. And we're doing the whole process end to end to show it so you can kind of see what's happening here. Again, it's signed out, logged back in. It's going to go search for that case for us. So finding the right individual, popping open their case file, grabbing the document we need, uploading it, and then again, entering in that data all automatically.
Yeah. Again, this is not Will. We didn't film Will doing this super quickly. This is a robotic process doing this, and it moves this fast.
Yeah, so think about it. That document comes in your mailroom, someone scans it in, Abby software recognizes what it is, and then the next thing you know, it's already in your system. And then we do other automation beyond this. We have certain notices come in. That means, okay, we've got to go schedule a hearing. So this same robot can also go out, log into a court website and schedule that hearing for us. We can also send automated communications, things like that. So that's that process. Now we're going into actually showing you how you create these skills. We're starting here with the classification skill, which determines what document type it is. And there's almost no manual work here. It's purely AI driven. We're just giving it basic inputs to tell it what to find for us, and then it goes ahead and finds it. So we've uploaded a series of notices. And once these upload, we're actually going to remove a few of them that we're going to use for testing to show that it actually, based on the ones it's looked at, it can recognize these other ones automatically. So now what we do is we tell it what the classifications are. So we select a couple that are the same, and then we go ahead and create and name the class for it. So we're going to say that, okay, these are I-129 notices. Go ahead and create that. And then we're going to go to the other notices. I don't know if it paused on your end there, Mike.
I don't know. I think it should be going. Oh, I'm sorry. Did it pause? Let's keep it going. There we go. Sorry, I clicked off of it. Was that looking at the question?
Making it look like a longer process than it is. So next thing we simply select these other ones. And once we've assigned these classes, we then just simply hit a train button. And what happens in the background is that the machine learning looks at it, looks for subtle differences so it can tell what's what. That way, when future notices come in, it's able to see that, okay, I understand what this is, and I can go ahead and classify it. So now we're doing that training. And obviously, the more complex these are, with anything with machine learning, the more examples you get it, the better it's going to perform. But a lot of these standardized government documents, you may just need one example, and that's good enough to train it. So once that training process has completed here, and as you'll see, it only takes a couple moments, we're going to upload those 3 that we had removed at the beginning, and it will go ahead and classify for this. So this is how easy it is. We just train it, then we test it. So it is now processing those images, and it's going ahead and it's telling us, here's what type it is, so we can confirm that what we just built here works. And from there, it's as simple as confirming our results and then clicking publish. And now it's been added to that skill catalog for us to use in the future.
Well, next, I like the rocket.
Taking off. So next, we're going to show the creation of a document skill. And that's the type of skill that's actually going to say, okay, we have this, we know it's an I-129 receipt based on that classification. Now let's go ahead and pick up specific data off of that.
Yep. Now that we know what it is, let's focus on it.
Right. So similarly, we're uploading a sample so that it knows what it looks like. And automatically, as soon as it comes in, Abby's engine is able to recognize specific data elements. So it's similar to that verification interface we saw earlier. We're simply just clicking on the element we want, it populates it, and then we go ahead and name that field. And again, at the end, we can do this for multiple examples. The more standardized a document is, the fewer samples we need. And then once we train it, the AI is going to memorize where these locations are, what kind of information we need, that kind of thing. And then there's also some different settings that we can adjust as well, such as saying that, okay, we expect that this field is always going to be a date. So we'll go ahead and select that. And that helps with our extraction results. We can put in different rules here to say, okay, this is the data we're expecting, which helps with us getting that high level of accuracy for straight through processing, as well as flagging when something, so say there's, something on the image that got in the way of it actually seeing the data, it can then know, okay, well, this doesn't meet this rule, so we know to flag it for someone to take a look at it. to either correct that information or go back to the source and say, I can't read this, I need you to send me a new copy. All right, so we've gone ahead and we've completed that training for those fields. Now we're again going to upload a couple more samples just to confirm, okay, you know, is that enough to get us accurate results? So as soon as we upload this, it starts processing. And now we'll take a look. And as you can see, it's gone ahead and it's grabbed those fields that we had trained on the first one, and it is working just fine for the other examples. And similar to the classification, we now know that we can go ahead and process this. So as you can see, talking to the citizen developer, this is something that anyone can do. You don't need a background in development. You don't need a background in technology. I think, Bill, what the training might be 2-3 hours, and then you can just go ahead and jump in. Heck, you could have just watched this video and then probably figure it out without actually reading the documentation on how you can train one of these forms. So it really empowers the end user, the business user, to go ahead and build these processes out to automate their work. And then all of this can also be propagated firm-wide. So the more incoming documents you have, and the more you're assisting people with their work, the overall return on investment just becomes greater and greater.
Yeah, I didn't see any code entered there. I don't know about you, Bill. This was all just taking a document, figuring out with the system what that document is, to categorize it, to classify it, and then going through that document and finding the various input elements that you need and, saying what they are, creating some validation for them if you want to make sure that they're right. And then boom, you've got this. And as Will said, what the most amazing part of this all to me is, and let's go on to the next slide here, is that, again, people can get very caught up in this thing. I started off my career as a trial attorney, and no, I had no time, never. There were weeks where, I kid you not, I billed 80, 90 hours that week, and those are painful. And you tell yourself, I have no time to be efficient or do any better. But if you look at these types of things, I mean, if you have a team, let's say they're handling incoming documents from some regulator or some court every day, and it's 3 hours worth of time. Think about how that adds up. In just a month, you're looking at 60 hours a month. You're looking at yearly over 700 hours a year. Think how much you're paying for that, and how much you could be paying folks who typically have the kind of training. They could be doing things that are billable and that add value, as opposed to pushing virtual paper around. Even if this takes you 2 or 3 hours, let's say it takes you 5 to come up with exactly what you want, you're looking at those 5 hours saving you hundreds. And when we look at where we're going within the law, and we look at where we should be, the absolute guru of this, the person we all look to, is of course Richard Susskind. He's been writing stuff for 20 plus years. He teaches at both Oxford and Cambridge, and he's knighted. So I'm still waiting for my form for that in the mail, by the way. Maybe I'll set up something to receive it. And so, there is no higher person when they talk about this. And here we have, from just a few years ago, the American Immigration Lawyers Association wrote a report, comprehensive report, on the future of immigration law practice. And they quote Susskind from one of his early works. He's been saying this for 20 years. The electronic creation and transmission of digitally stored information, that's the future of law. And he believes, and he has been saying this, and we're starting to see this, that law is going to be transformed from something where we're always hands-on and it's always us having to do everything, even when, let's face it, it's not work that adds value. When we're lawyers who take stuff out of a PDF and throw it into some case management system or copy and paste it into an email, that there's no value for that. When we have to double check things, triple check things to make sure that the 12th time we've typed in a name or something from a form that we're getting is right, we're not adding value. And so what we're seeing is we're starting to see lawyers package their work into electronic forms, and that the low end, high margin legal advice will become low cost, high volume commodity. And let me tell you, that just keeps creeping up, because in the end, so much of what we do can be automated. I mean, Bill, we're certainly seeing in other practices beyond immigration where this all is coming from, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's what we kind of showed you today was very focused around law and legal services, but if you could look across any industry, banking, insurance, back office, finance, operational type processes. The platform that we showed you today and the skills, it's very much cross industry. So, and that makes it, I think, a bit unique in some of the other AI technologies and products you'll find out there today is they tend to be more niche products. So it's well suited to handle very structured forms, which is really what we showed you today, but completely unstructured documents as well, where there's lots of variations, can be automated as well.
Yeah. And so, you know what? We're going to turn to questions because we're getting them coming in now. And we've got some very good questions. The first one is actually fairly straightforward, which is this Cosmolex and Leap, I guess Leap on all caps, compatible?
Yeah, so the Abby portion of it is really agnostic to the case management system that we're using. So it's really just compatible with any kind of image that you're getting in, and then from there you figure out, okay, a company like us, we can work with you or your internal IT team to say, okay, are we going to use the API calls to integrate it in because those major systems have APIs that can be called, or do we use that software robot, which can work with absolutely any computer interface? So if I can touch it as a user, that robot can go ahead and touch it. And again, as Bill had mentioned, that's a low-code interface or a low-code tool that a business user can purchase. They can program it because you're basically just saying, okay, what are the typical clicks that I need? How do I associate the data? I just pulled off this document. So I'm saying, okay, I got receipt number. I want to upload that receipt number. I'm pulling someone's name to make sure I find the right case file. That kind of things. You're really just linking those data points, showing it where to click, and then you're pretty much from there. It's basically like hitting play, and it's repeating that process over and over again for you, so that every time a certain notice comes in, so say you get a notice from the IRS or something, you pull the information you want from that letter, attach it to the right case file, and go on with downstream process automation from there.
Yeah, I mean, just again, imagine starting every day. I just can't harp on this too much, but I've been there. And the idea, if you had told me years ago when I was a trial attorney in court every day and coming back to piles and piles of stuff, if you had told me every day that I could start the day getting back an hour from having to go through all of that, it would have been the greatest thing you could tell me. And so we got another question coming in, and it asks, how large a sample set is needed for training on documents? And I think we're going to give a very surprising answer to that, aren't we?
Yeah, so you can actually start with as few as one, especially with these standardized documents. And say you don't have a large sample set. We've run into this a lot in the past where it says, well, okay, I got to go grab those samples and it takes time. We can actually train it from just a small number. And then as it goes through this process, if it flags something for manual review, the machine learning can continue to learn as you process documents. So it says, okay, well, we noticed that, this data point doesn't always just appear here. It may also appear here. So now the software knows, okay, I'm going to check these two places to find the data that we need instead of just the one. So you can kind of have a continuous improvement process running in the background to continue to get more and more accurate information so that you have to look at fewer ones that come through.
Yeah, and by the way, folks, I in addition, because of that fact I was a trial attorney, I got involved in the early aspects of electronic discovery, e-discovery, and I'm an e-discovery expert in cases, and I get it, what we all kind of assume from that world, which is, I talk over, how many thousands of documents do we have in this data set, and how much do we have enough? It's not like that. This is a few documents, and as you heard Will say it, sometimes you can start with just one. That's, again, very different. And so we have another question. I think I'm going to throw this one to Bill. Someone says they have handwritten notes is there intelligence to extract that data?
Yeah, the technology exists today within another Abby product. This is the product we showed you today is something we launched early this year. So handwriting will be added into an upcoming release early next year. So, but it is core technology to what Abby's developed. Handwriting, not maybe a little bit surprising to some people, still represents a percent of documents that come in, albeit it's generally a smaller percent, maybe 10, 15%, and the rest is all digitally typed. So
yeah, and it's actually very good. I have to admit, I'm not just a speaker for Abby, I'm also a customer, and I've got some of their things in terms of recognizing handwriting. And folks, this is my handwriting, okay? I can barely read it, and Abby can do that, okay? Yeah, there's days I'm not sure what some of those, even that means myself. So yeah, that will be very much a part of the system, and there is no one who beats Abby at the recognition game. They invented it, they've been doing it forever. And so we've got a few more questions, and I think we have some time. This is good. Hey, well, what, I've got someone who's asking, what can a law firm like ours gain from this? What is it we can get out of this?
So you have the operational cost side of it. So we've seen where some of these law firms, they may have anywhere from 2 to 5 temp workers, for example, working in the mailroom, scanning things in and then doing that data entry. By automating that, we've seen it, and we had a case with one law firm we implemented pre-COVID. So they went from a crowded mailroom down to just a single individual in there. And the fact that that one person can just scan these notices in, it ends up in the case management system. It made it really, really easy for them to move remote because they can access the case management system from home, and they didn't have to worry so much about safety procedures for having a packed mailroom full of people. So you have it from the operations cost. We had talked about saving time as we automate tasks. Say you save an hour a day per lawyer. You have 16 lawyers in the law firm. You see that you're basically, you're saving more than an FTE throughout the week. So you're making it so that they have a higher carrying capacity. In immigration law firms, for example, there's heavy competition in actually hiring and retaining talent. So being able to do more with less, being able to grow your business and scale it without necessarily hiring people on. You have all those cost advantages there. By automating things, we can also make sure that our brand or the same level of service continues through, because you have the same results every single time, the same professional results, making sure things don't get missed. So all these notices come in, we're not kind of having someone put them on a cart, hand them out, and potentially lose them between a desk or something like that. They're automatically digitized, put into the case system. We have that record. And then there's the customer service side of it too. As I had mentioned, you get a notice in, whether it's from the IRS, whether it's a business notice, whatever, and then being able to immediately have that information, reach out to your client, have that, or you need to schedule a hearing and you're able to automate that scheduling, that kind of thing. It really just, it makes things move faster, which ends up with a better experience for your client.
Yeah, excellent. So yeah, this is something you can use now. I did have one question come in here. We've got one that says, what's the best way for us to talk to someone at Abby? And the answer is on the final slide. We're almost there. We got one more slide after these questions. There is a QR code again to get a hold of Abby. Just take your phone and point your camera at it, and it will pop right up into an email. Amazing, these things. We got another question. So I've got two more. We got a bunch more here. What is the pricing for this service? Is that something accessible to solo and small firms? Bill, I don't know if you can do pricing right on this, but you can certainly tell us the ranges, I would say.
yeah, so it's a pretty simple licensing model. It's based upon volume, annual page volume. So think of the documents we showed you. Calculate the number of pages you're processing on a month-to-month annual basis, and that's how it's licensed. So yeah.
So
That's
reach out to
licensed
Abby, use that QR code, and we'll put someone in touch with you, and they can walk you through what that looks like. I can tell you again, I have done a number of webinars with Abby over the years, and just last year we did a webinar, was it earlier this year? It all blends, with a firm of about 15 lawyers that had completely automated their process on Social Security benefits appeals. And you know, it was something that, again, affordable cost, and most importantly, it let them take their practice from here to here without adding, you know, all kinds of people to do it. And so here's a definite one. I need to walk through this one very carefully because, Will, I think someone, yeah, I may have another client for you right here. It says, fair enough, I represent condo and homeowner associations in Florida. I guesstimate that there are maybe 100 documents that we use produce for 80% of the work. Sounds right for work product.
Yeah.
Amendments, proxies, meeting notices, demand letters, etc. How can this be compared with client output of their documents and prep notices, proxies, ballots based on what they enter for end review and approval? Let's start building. Can we should have you build out something almost for this. Is that something that Jobs Tech can do?
Yeah. So what we do, especially if we're dealing with new content matter, is we can do things such as a proof of concept where we sit down. We usually start off with a free consultation to help understand what your process is, what the content is, and then we can actually go test that with the software, get us an idea of, how much does this vary? That helps us understand, how many different samples we're going to need, things like that, and understanding what kind of data you're trying to capture off of that to drive whatever is next in the process, right? So as Bill had mentioned, it not only works for these standardized documents that we show, but it also works from things that are more free form. For example, we've worked with insurance companies when they actually get what is technically a legal notice. That's their first notice of loss. That's coming in as an email that's free form every time. We're looking for specific data that's not really structured in there in a certain way. Grabbing that out and then passing that down. So understanding the use case more is really the first step, and understanding the process, and then we figure out from there, okay, what's the most efficient, most cost-effective way to put this together. And also, you try to be honest too, and as far as what can be automated versus what can't be, and are we doing it? Is there the 80-20 rule where, okay, we have one person who's spending an hour on this a month. That's probably not where we're going to start. We're going to start on whatever the low-hanging fruit is that's going to provide the biggest value back.
Okay. And so, hey, Will, can you put your email into the chat so if people want to contact you about that? I think that would be very useful.
Yeah.
And I will also add in, it also depends on what kind of outputs you're looking for or where to pull this information from. If it's something where there is, again, that API, which is a real, for non-tech speak, that's just a super quick generic connector between two systems. If it's API-able, it's easy. If it's not API-able, if it's not set up that way, and you need to train out a robot like we saw was trained for Clio, that's not really all that hard to do either. That's something that someone who's a semi-technically proficient lawyer or administrator can do. Or if it's something that you want to go to Jobs Tech and to Will and his team, they can build that out for you. And the costs are not only reasonable, but again, if it's saving you hours a day, really the savings add up just lightning fast. I can't emphasize that enough. So let's see a few more. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're also flexible with how we work with people too. We're not the type of company that says, oh, we need to touch everything. We have to do every single thing. We're open. We work with companies where they say, we don't have the time for this. We want you to do everything. And then we work for others that say, okay, let's just get the basic training, get us off the ground, and then, let us take it from here. We're work with all kinds of different situations. We're flexible and also friendly.
Yep. And that actually leads us to another question we've had come up. So Bill, is this something, again, can a firm or legal department develop the skills that they need to for their documents, even if they don't see them in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw a little bit of that in the demonstration. So if the skill is not available in the marketplace, as Will showed you, you can build your own skills for any type of document. It literally is upload a document, label the fields you want to extract information, hit the train button, train the document, see the results, publish the skill, and that's basically it. So it's everything that we provide in terms of onboarding a customer is available online. So it's very self-service. There's different courses you go through. So that's the intention, is quick time to value. So.
Yep. And you know what? I'm an entrepreneurial guy. I like to do cool things. Let's say I do that. Let's say I build out some document skills for documents that I see all the time. Can I put those on the marketplace? Can I now become a seller of skills?
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting, that's kind of why we built the marketplace. Albeit it's a new concept, something we've introduced, but I think it's something that's really going to take off next year. But you'll see, like partners like Job's Technology has already published a few skills, but it is a way of, certainly it's a way of monetizing the value of what partners like Job's Tech is bringing to the solution. So absolutely.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
I was going to say the ones, two of the notices that we saw today, we actually put those same skills up on the marketplace, and they're free skills that if you want to throw the same document type in there just to test the system out, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah. Cool. And by the way, if I wanted to sell some to other law firms, I could do it. But I suppose also if I wanted to do this for clients, I've got onboarding forms. I've got things that I know are definitely low-hanging fruit, and I can't charge for them. They're just too simple. I can't charge legal consultation rates for going through virtual paperwork. Can I give those away to clients? Can I put that on the marketplace, or maybe offer it up on a website and say, go here, and you can work with me and we can start like that?
Yeah, and that's the way the marketplace is designed. You'll see free and paid skills and other assets too. So and I encourage everyone to want to check out the marketplace. If you go to abby.com, hit marketplace, and you'll get there. You'll see what's out there right now. We expect hundreds of skills being added to the marketplace next year.
Awesome. And so we've got kind of a follow-up to that, and I think this comes from, we've got lawyers, we've got paralegals, we've got administrators, we've also got some folks here who, yes, they are technical integrators like Will. I don't want to give away too many of them. I'm not going to give your secrets away, Will. Trust me, I won't do that. But for Bill, can we integrate this with other automation tools?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the other thing too. So from a low code standpoint, there's, and this is for more of the, people that are a little more technical, but there's a simple REST API. This is how Job's Tech would integrate with other legal software. You can do it through this REST API. But it's not just legal software. It could be an ERP system. So if you're doing invoices, I'll use that as an example because we have hundreds of customers doing invoices, which is, think about it, it's a pretty complex document because you have potentially thousands of variations of invoices coming in. So we've trained a model that can understand invoices. It captures the header, the footer, the line item details, does all that. So we can integrate it with SAP. We can integrate it with Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics. That's for finance. I mean, if you have an ECM system, in terms of content management, we can integrate with content management systems. So it's pretty open and very flexible.
Awesome. And I will tell you, having been a lawyer at law firms, having been kind of an innovation person at law firms, there is no more fraught and anxiety inducing time than when the invoices go out to clients. And I've looked at the marketplace. I haven't seen anything in the marketplace that someone has built a system that could handle invoices going out and the money coming back in. But unless somebody tells me something, there's nothing to stop anyone from building it and being the first one, right? Yeah. That would be a big seller, folks. We'll make that a hint. That's a big hint. Get there before somebody else does. And then, it's in terms of the learning code here. I've got people asking that because I've talked to other folks as well. What are we hiding here? Is this really that easy? in terms of the ability to set it up.
It really is, and maybe I'll defer to Will since he's one of the one of the partners that started with Vantage early on. So maybe Will, you can give your perspective on how long it took you to get going.
Yeah, so I'm not a technical person. I understand, I'm good at translating business requirements over to technology. So in the past, we've actually I've been working with data extraction technology since 2013, seen a bunch of different products, really settled on Abby just because of the degree of accuracy that their engine provides, which allows us to get to straight through processing. But normally we have a technical team that builds these things out. But for example, with this demo, I was able to build these out myself just by going into the tool and selecting it in the same fashion that we showed how we can do that. So it's so simple, even I can do it. That's kind of part of how we prove that any business user can do it. So if you understand the content, you can jump in the tool. If you've used a lot of technology in the past, you can probably figure it out with the training. Otherwise, Abby offers free online training, tutorial videos, that kind of thing to help you out. So it doesn't take a technology person to get this.
Yeah, and I think the next step is I think I need to start building some stuff out so we can say, hey, it's so simple, a lawyer can do it. And that's, it really is what you saw was you take the boxes, you drop them, you drag them to where you need to be, and it's just thinking of that workflow that you would in any system, or even just drawing it out. And then you just draw the arrows and you connect it to the various documents and the processes you want. So I think that's going to be the next step. We're gonna see a webinar maybe some months from now, and maybe it'll be me showing off some stuff. I don't know. I may have to call Will, but we'll see. We can have all kinds of cool things available, and that's really where this is going. I mean, this is just the start, isn't it, Bill?
It really is. I mean, it's as I mentioned, we saw a shift in enterprise software and moving towards a no-code, low-code approach probably about 4 years ago. And if you just look at not just what around document processing, but look at the automation tools that are out there. And these companies are 3-4 years old, and that's generally the move. It's really self-service, right? If you can empower your business users to do more and rely less on IT, not to knock IT, and there's always complexity with process automation and re-engineering processes and all that and integration. But there comes a point where if you can build stuff, say in IT, and then make it available to business users, you're going to accelerate the automation throughout an organization much faster.
And I will throw in one final pitch before we get to the end, which is, look, having been there and done that reinventing of processes at law firms before, and yes, it is painful. I get that there are people who are cringing. There are people that will be triggering PTSD for them. I get it. It can be hard to look at those processes, but the key is this makes it easy and it gives you a way to get started. Take the process for what you have and get it into the system. Just get it digitized, start saving time, start getting better accuracy, stop doing the repeat work and spending hours a day retyping stuff. And once you get to that point, then you can start asking the harder questions. Who needs to see this? When do we need to get this done? What do we need to connect this to? How can we make this all better? And that will get you started. I mean, Will, I'm sure you see that with firms all the time. It starts off small, and next thing you know, boom, they're doing amazing stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and this allows you both from the kind of just seeing how the technology works as well as the licensing model, where you can start out small, processing, a thousand or several thousand documents a year, whatever it is, and then as you build up, you may go into tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, and depending on the size of your firm, the more volume you're doing, there's volume tiered discounts and things like that give you even more efficiency.
And even just on the process, it's just boxes you move around. Drag another box in, drag another box over, put some more arrows in, train a few more documents. And now you're starting to really figure out, hey, what is it we do and what adds value? And how can we be the most efficient and effective for our clients? And that brings us to the end here. which we want to say, first of all, thank you again for attending. We want to encourage you to request a follow-up call today. And again, to make it easy, just down here in this lower right corner, we have a QR code that you can scan with your iPhone or Android phone. It'll open right up into an email to contact us. Will has also put his information in. You can reach out to him at will@jobstech.com. So thank you. I'm Mike Simon, and again, Will, thank you for your help. Bill, thank you for your insights and everything. And to the audience, thank you again for attending.